Everyone, welcome to the first episode of Blood and Talkness, a Hades speedrunning podcast set in a nightmare world where every episode is filler and the tournament arc never seems to end. Today we're talking about the recent speedrun boards reset and the latest Hermes Cup. And then after everyone has gone home, we'll talk about anime, the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, and what the fuck that show is all about. Yes, everyone should introduce themselves. I'm Rist. I am a Hades speedrunner, and I'm not very good.
True.
Webs.
Howdy. I'm
Take it.
I'm Webbins of House 2D. Or my nickname is just Webs. I do stuff and things, particularly speedrunning, and occasionally some art.
That isn't true anymore.
No,
Yeah,
that's a lie.
You got me there.
All right, Satan.
Yeah, I'm
third
SatanIsAChillGuy. You can call me Austin. I am
Same.
also a Hades speedrunner, but I'm also kind of washed into trying to dive back into things once again. But, you know, mostly I just kind of work and sleep right now.
That's a fucking
And-
schmood.
Finally, our guest slash mainstay. What do we call you?
Fucko.
Fucko,
Your main
sloucher,
bitch.
camper, loiterer. Duunk0.
Loader is good, yeah.
I like Loiterer. I'll take that one. Hey, I'm Duunk0, Duunk0. I am a Hades speedrunner, streamer, and the guy who got second in the last Hermes Cup and has a bunch of world records in some categories.
No one important or anything.
Yeah, no.
yeah,
that's
not at all.
literally who Mega lol.
And
Yeah, I
Megalol.
started playing this game last week, and I just got invited to this podcast. Who cares?
I mean, you basically started playing the game last week.
Yeah.
Oh wait, am I the oldest player here?
Yes.
Jesus Christ!
It's
I
you,
always-
then Dunk,
Oh, wait, no,
then
you were
like
talking-
me,
yeah,
then
I
just
did.
barely Webs.
Yeah.
Also, if you guys want, you can watch whatever gameplay I'll be doing on Discord. I'll just be streaming it if you care to stare at that. Occupy your eyeballs.
Oh,
Sure.
I'll be doing some first run. It's just a speedrun category where we try to beat Hades as fast as possible after starting a new file and without dying.
It's pretty lit.
It is pretty lit. It is the best, in my opinion, and
Okay.
objectively.
I like first run, but I like being bad at first run, because first run's a real cozy run when you're real bad at it.
Oh, same.
It is.
I cannot, I think my best first run time, I mean, I've never beaten a first run, but my best fresh file time's like 34 minutes or something, and I'm like, that's fine.
It's all good. So yeah, we want to talk about all of the Hades news that's happened. I feel like we've got all of it on our cheat sheet,
Yeah,
our
yeah,
notes.
Yes, pull
It's hard
back
to tell
the
that.
curtain for the audience.
People
we
notes in the
have
chat,
people
boys.
notes.
Peel back the foreskin, if you will.
So I think the
Maybe not
biggest
that
thing.
one.
I think the biggest
Peel
thing
it
that's
like a
happened
banana.
recently.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ!
I feel like it's more like a boiled eggplant, right?
Eggplant. No, I think I like banana.
Really? No.
Yeah, no, because it gives the impression that you have there's the foreskin and then like the rough bit at the top that you have to break. You know what I mean?
Ouch.
You have to break the
Yeah.
I
dick.
really don't think I want anything breaking in this scenario.
Yeah.
Just give it a little snap and then a pull.
We are
Anyway,
already,
so
already
the,
in hell.
So the board's got like soft reset sort of.
We did a
Yeah.
full board reset, and
Well,
since we have 3 of the mods on
Yeah.
the team, we can get some insight
in
on
only
that.
3 of the mods.
Exclusive.
So it's not like a hard reset. I view the board change that we made more of a soft reset.
For sure.
In the sense that it's
Yeah.
sort of split from just any heat current patch to pre the major balance patch that just recently happened and then post. So that way, you know, if there's someone out there who wants to eventually downpatch and run, you know, as fast as they can before the most recent patch, then they can. As long as
Yeah.
it's not early access. Not a ton of people would want to, but the option's there for you. And if not, then you can compete on the new boards, and the old boards are still very visible, and everyone's achievements are like right there still.
Yeah, I mean, we basically did. We looked at what Minecraft Java did and just took that essentially like verbatim, because this has been the system for Minecraft for like a long time. Is that I think they've only got 1 or 2 patches on there, but they do separate their patches into subcategories with like a patch variable. And with that, you're able to easily see stuff without doing what we did for all of the early access patches, which is just be like, yes, we're going to put these in a
full
big
new
bucket
board.
called MISC.
Which there was a period of time when the balance changes were very wild, and everyone was sort of, I don't want to say knee-jerk reactioning, but we were definitely being a little knee-jerky when the very first iteration of changes hit test branch, where we were just saying, yeah, no, fuck it, just misc it, just get it out of here, who cares?
Just get it out of here.
Well, no, because that sounded like the easy answer, right? Like
It was the
quickest-
easy answer, and it was like
Yeah.
the previously established answer, you know?
Mhm.
Like just a full board reset, you mean? Or-
Yeah, just miscellaneousing all of the current boards and then starting new boards for the new patch,
Yeah.
which is, as Duncan said, what we had done in early access. But
Yeah.
I like that we eventually came to a better decision than that. It took more work to get there, but I think that work was worth it. Because one, I think the boards look really good now. And
Definitely
two,
clean for the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, how many
Yeah.
runs were on the old, air
It
quotes,
was
old board?
over
It was
300.
well
It was
over
a lot,
400.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like an easy thing to sit there and think about misking all of those, right?
Right.
'Cause at
Wait,
least
hold
with,
on.
like-
when you say misking, I'm
So-
sorry.
So you know how
This is
so
beyond my,
before the board changes, right? You remember how all of the early access boards were hidden away in the miscellaneous category on speedruns.com?
misking. Okay,
Yes, like
I understand.
yeah,
now.
so we would have taken all of the 1.0 boards and shoved them in there with the early access boards where they used to live. But I think the other really nice thing too is now the early access boards have a place to live.
just got Merciful End out of
Yeah,
Tartarus.
yeah. Let's go.
He sure did.
Sorry, keep going. So,
Blood
okay,
and
so
Talkness is
instead
going to have
du-
some of the sickest gameplay behind it. Oh my god.
No, you
it
didn't
honestly
see.
is, dude.
You didn't
Last
see last week's episode.
yeah, Webb's 2 Dick had like an amazing Achilles run.
The what? Yeah, we're not talking about the blade dash runs, right?
No,
Okay, thank God.
I'll never
Yeah,
forget
so that
Blade
Achilles
Dash
runs was pretty solid.
Oh my god.
is there
Yeah.
was there like an other alternatives being considered aside from
Well,
just
there was one person who just wanted to leave the boards alone and people to either down patch or go faster. And I think that managed to be less constructive of an idea than freaking out and saying
How-
misc it all.
However,
I will
after
say-
he ran that back slightly,
Yeah.
there was and the conversation got a little bit more interesting. He alongside Vareem, like there were a couple people who were just like, hey, we're not really sure that the idea of misking everything is a good idea. Are there other options?
Yeah.
And then
and-
that's what led to Museus actually coming up with the idea of, hey, what if we did this thing that Minecraft Java does? And then turned out that
Having
idea
a-
was
a-
awesome.
1.37 post version, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So it did end up being for the best that they were sort of super opposed to it, and it sort of balanced out the knee-jerk freaking out being for misking with just a hard stance. No, let's not. To actually get us thinking about what else we can do with our boards, which it ended up being very good in the long run.
Yes, completely agree. I mean,
Cause,
there was a
like-
little bit of strife there for a little bit, but
A little
it
bit,
ended up
but
being
it's
all right.
fine. It happens.
Well, I think that just like having a like a 1.37 version of the boards is like an objectively better version of misking everything, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just
'Cause it,
didn't.
like,
It wasn't guaranteed that we get there to that decision.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
for sure.
Right.
I think
And it
it's
wasn't
good,
an
though,
option I had
'cause-
thought about until I think Museus brought it up, like Duncan said, where it just hadn't crossed my mind to do it like that.
would there be any advantage to like misking everything over having a new? I mean, I guess setting up the boards has been a little bit of trouble. I know that Museus has had a little that like if you I don't think it's fixed or if it can be fixed, but if you go to the speedrun boards, you'll discover that there are like 4 different / identical any heat option or aspect options.
Yeah,
in the
so
drop-down.
that's an issue on speedrun.com side. It's not an issue on our end, and it's not really something that we could fix.
Does Minecraft have the same problem?
No, because Minecraft doesn't have aspects and doesn't have as many subcategories. So
the reason that is because of all the subcategories that we have. Each subcategory has its own aspect variable outside of all weapons, and 3 weapon, I believe. So any single weapon run will have an aspect variable next to it, and every time you add another board with those variables, it'll add an extra variable in the filter list, which makes things annoying and contributes to there being 4 just weapon aspect variables when filtering.
Yeah.
Is my understanding. I'm sure Museus would know a little bit more, but I think that's the general gist.
That's 100% correct. that was like as dead on as you can be. Yeah. So I think it ended up being okay though. I think we ended up on a very good solution. The one thing is at this point is that there's like no runs on the board now.
It's getting better. It's starting to fill out, and heat's definitely filling out. I may sit down and record an all weapons time tomorrow just to have something on the boards, because all weapons need some love, and 3 weapons needs a little love too.
Yeah, the thing that I've noticed is just that there aren't very many people. There haven't been a lot of top players submitting runs yet.
Yeah.
I've noticed a lot of the the sort of lower down the totem pole players. You know, not to. I don't like
the trash area.
I don't want to call them that.
No, your average runner is still sitting down and submitting a ton of times, but the top X% of the boards we haven't seen a ton of submissions from.
Yeah, I think that's because mostly they want to try to get back to like their pre-patch times.
Yeah.
Which is
At least that's the case.
I think that contributes to it for a lot of people, but yeah, it's really hard to get even. Like, I'm struggling to get close to some of my pre-patch times.
Yeah, I mean, my all weapons PB is a full 3 minutes off of my last patch all weapons PB. So like
same. Mine's like 6 minutes off.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, we expected to slow down a little bit this patch, right? Because like the reason why we changed it is because the change to Hades Keepsake going from 4 stocks to 2 was so impactful, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And like the initial initial version of Test Branch changes were even wilder. It was gonna be Dad Call was only gonna be 1 hit. Poseidon Dash scaling was gonna get nerfed on top of Sea Storm no longer being a prereq, and Eris being nerfed down to 65%. So it was like 4 insane nerfs just lumped in together in one patch, and I think that's why everyone was freaking out.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that Amir chose to go a little less heavy-handed than he was originally thinking.
For sure.
Because all of those nerfs happening at once. It's funny because when he was discussing it with us a little bit in the in a server, he said explicitly, "My goal isn't to slow you guys down or anything like that." And then he just rolls out all of this shit that will actually just completely destroy our times.
Yeah.
Like,
can I tangentially very quickly, right? I just want to say how really cool it is to be a part of a speed game that has a like lead balancing dev like that's willing to sit down and take us, even if not explicitly balancing for us, take us into consideration with balancing.
Oh, definitely.
Destiny 2 specifically has a problem with speedrun stuff where really cool tech will be found, and instead of and it'll be speedrun specific tech, and instead of just sort of leaving it be, I I can't fully
Patched
speak
out
to
next day.
Yeah, I can't fully speak to Bungie's mentality on it, but it feels like they think to themselves, oh no, these players found a flaw, we need to fix it right now, as opposed to only 1% of the community, if that is using this, let them have it, you know.
And on the other end of the spectrum, sort of like Hades, you have I find like indie developers are more open to working with this, or not working with, but keeping in mind the speedrunning community, right? You also see that a lot with Celeste. Celeste is a great example. And also
Celeste is built for speedrunning, right?
Yeah, essentially. And you also see it with less of a known game, like Scourgebringer. Scourgebringer has a very small speedrunning community, but the devs are very involved with them, from what I understand.
Didn't they... Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong on this, but in Celeste, did they intend for the speed tech where you dash down and dash like down diagonally and maintain momentum? Did they intend for that mechanic, or was that a mechanic that was discovered and they not only didn't change it, they actually built a series of challenges around it? Because I know that there's a series of in-game challenges.
I think it's the latter. I think it's the latter, to where it got found.
I don't know if it was intended.
Yeah, I can't speak 100%, but I'm pretty sure I remember it being mentioned that like runners discovered it with the like wave momentum works as you bounce off the ground, dashing.
They basically learned wave dashing.
Yeah, they figured out you could wave dash, and the devs were like, "Hey, that's sick. Let's also include a challenger. Let's include some challenges around this, as opposed to, oh no, they found exploit in my game, stinky."
Yeah.
I will say, in my experience with like large developers, or I guess there's just a certain game developer mentality about this, that is the idea of the game as intended, right? Mm-hmm. Which is, I think, probably the Destiny problem, is that when a developer has this like very strong vision for what their game is supposed to be, but they're not flexible in wanting that, in allowing people to play the game other ways, they often will patch exploits because they think that it is in some way sullying the original way, their original vision for how the game should be played.
That makes sense.
Do you ever run into any of that stuff yourself, Dunk? Since you're a game developer, right? Like you make games. Is that something that, I mean, I guess you don't make games built for speedrunning,
no.
But like is that ever something that you consider when you like find a weird bug that lets you do something unexpected but kind of cool? Is that ever something that comes up in your line of work? Because I know you make, what was it, educational games, right?
Yeah, it's very different in educational games because somebody going outside the intended parameters actually changes the learning outcomes. And that's something that you have to be very careful about, because if you change the learning outcomes to something that's not supposed to happen, then
Jesus.
you actually can end up with the game not doing what it's intended to do, you know?
That makes sense.
So like it's I think it's very different in intentional learning game design. You really have to be stringent about the intended path, but for something like a regular video game, I wouldn't say so. Also, I heard a bunch of, and then I'm seeing you dropping back in. What happened?
Rick got absolutely slammed in the corner.
I just got pounded in the corner by a bunch of chariots who hit me after they died at least twice.
Jesus.
Their attacks are projectiles.
Yes.
They're invisible projectiles. Everything in this game is good as a projectile. Change my mind, you can't.
What was the time coming out of Asphodel, by the way? You were schmoving.
I actually have no idea.
He was like on Elysium mini boss by like 9 minutes, I think.
Jesus.
I was probably at around 10 minutes in game.
That was a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
wow.
You know, he did find Merciful End in Tartarus.
Yeah.
And moved from there, but yeah, we the board reset is the really big recent thing.
Yeah, and then the mods are still kind of reeling from the amounts of
we've gotten
submissions.
We've managed to bulk up staff a little bit more now. I think we're closer to where we sort of want to be / should be. for the mod and verification team. I think 1 or 2 key people should be added on, but I mean that's just one person's opinion, right?
Yeah, I agree with that though.
That's bound to happen down the line eventually, maybe. Who knows? We'll see. But for the time being, to get through just kind of churn through pressing that green button, we're in a pretty decent spot right now.
The green verification. How many are left
Live update,
at the time of this recording?
85. Oh, yeah. No, I got that down to 50 like 2 days ago.
3 have been submitted in the time that I've been here talking to you guys.
All right, good.
Jesus
Christ.
This is... I'm curious, is the rate, since the reset, is the rate of submissions higher now?
No.
Or is it...
No,
it's the same rate.
Yeah.
It's
Jesus
the same rate.
Christ.
It hasn't slowed down or sped up at all.
No,
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it's surprising to me, actually. Because I'd imagine this is the first, like, really popular game I've ever speedrun, right? Because it, like, just came out.
Right.
Are you sure? You did speedrun Kingdom Hearts 2 poster.
Oh, no. Excuse me, sir. That is a very prestigious category. Only massive gamers speedrun poster, dude.
What is poster percent again? Remind us.
It's a mini game, so you like slap some posters on a wall in Kingdom Hearts 2. But the movement looks sick. I can show you later.
Oh, please don't.
No, it's so cool, dude.
It is actually pretty sick.
Webbs did show me the poster percent movement, and it does look pretty. It looks pretty sick, even though because there's a lot of like weird sideways and backwards movement. Even if it is the weirdest and lamest category I've ever seen in my life.
It's not lame, dude.
Conceptually lame.
Look, Webbs.
Executionally.
In practice, it's pog as fuck.
Look, Webbs, I think Poster Duty is PogChamp. Good job, Webbs. Congrats on that long-standing world record, buddy. I'm very proud of you.
He's only saying, like, Poster Duty's lame because he hasn't seen Bumblebuster. Bumblebuster is true. Fucking dog shit.
Bumblebuster's the true lame meme category.
Is that a 100-acre word thing?
No. So, it's in the same area as Poster Duty. It's what, 3 waves of bees?
I think it's 2.
2 waves. So yeah, you're trying to you kill 2 waves of bees as fast as possible, but it's RNG. It's great.
It's not just RNG.
Yeah, but it's like a 4-second category.
Yeah. So it's something you like sit down, do the inputs to kill the bees that kill the bees as fast as possible, and either they all die or you get a time out of it.
Yeah, dog. You want to know something funny? First time I ever got reckoned in that category, literally was not looking at the screen. Like you could just do the inputs, and it's so stupid.
That is really dumb.
Anyways, but what was I saying?
Something first about popular game you've ever speedrun.
Yeah. So like Kingdom Hearts 2 popular, but it's not getting submissions at the same rate that like Hades is getting, right? Because it's a very old game. Oh fuck! I'm having a brain fart.
Yeah, don't worry. Smoke a cigarette.
I'm sorry.
No. Okay, so like
I took you off track.
So like it's just surprising me that like the hype for Hades is just not dying down at all, right?
The momentum is crazy.
Yeah.
It's been months, a couple months at least, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like the thing that I've noticed, by the way, is that we get new runners in and out at a very weird rate. Like there's a lot of people who come in, put 1 or 2 times on the board, then dip out. However, they just keep coming. New people keep coming.
Like, if you look at the Discord, at least 3 to 4 times a week, I'd say. And I don't keep up with the Discord like I used to. It's hard to keep up with the Discord like I used to.
You're telling me.
Yeah.
Working and also just the volume of people in there. But, like, you'll still see, like, very regularly. I think it's, like, 3 to 4 times a week. I'll just scroll through general a little bit, and there'll be, like, a bunch of new names that I've never seen before. And it's crazy that it just keeps consistently happening, though. We just keep getting more and more people in.
Yeah,
and dude, once AGDQ happens on January, we're gonna get even more, right? Like it's just gonna.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
We're gonna get waves after waves.
I think we're gonna have to. I want to bring this up to the.
That's the run. The Hades run is gonna be on January 5th.
Yeah.
With Vareem.
But I want to bring this up to the mod team, but I think we're going to have to bring on more verifiers before that happens, just in case. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I think getting like the 2 or 3 people, or 1 or 2 people, I think, that should be involved on the back end. I think getting them on board by then would probably be a really good idea, just to have that little extra beefed up verification team. Because Museus was pointing it out, where I had mentioned we're like better staffed now, but for a time we had, I believe it was 8 total people that could verify runs. While the next biggest and the next, like the 2 runs to the left and right of us on speedruns.com had like 11 and 14 or something like that.
Number 6 or number 5 or something like that.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was talking about that earlier before we started the podcast too, but we seem so understaffed compared to the people next to us.
Museus has incessantly pointed it out.
Yeah,
as well. He's like,
that's been Museus' hill to die on.
Yeah.
We are 11th.
These other games have
currently.
2 super mods.
we are 11th currently, between Super Mario Odyssey and Portal.
Which is crazy to think about. Because those are huge games.
It is really crazy to think of Hades on the scope of runners as those games, right?
Yeah.
We have 9 fewer active players than Celeste.
Oh my god.
That's wild, dude. I'd imagine being a verifier for Celeste is also crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We had another small piece of news. Right? It was at first I thought it was old news because, we've heard of the sort of like fishing timer stop thing with Thanatos, where you where you fish to keep him there for a little while, or to pause the timer while he's dropping his bullshit. Yeah. But apparently just recent. Was it recent, actually?
Yeah, it was like a very recent thing. And it was, if those of you in the Discord missed it, I don't blame you, because it was like, it popped up and then immediately was like, hey, this isn't allowed. Don't do that. Yeah. Like, immediately. It showed up and was shut down within like 24 hours.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was banned within 36 hours.
Yeah,
the fastest decision turnaround of the entire mod's life.
I've never seen the mod team so unified on one thing. It was crazy.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Like Museus was like, all people in favor of banning this, and he put a like hand react, and I think we got everyone to hand react within like 2 hours.
It was so crazy. Right, but what we're talking about is there is a bug in the game that involves fishing and asphodel that will allow you to stop the timer completely until you take another instance of damage.
So, a perfect IGT speedrun would involve going as fast as you can until you can find a fish in the first chamber of asphodel and then having a no-hit run after that point.
Yeah.
Basically.
It's
the
like
way the game was meant to be played.
Yeah.
It's like the complete antithesis of speedrunning. It's so wild.
And we thought Codex Tech was bad.
Yeah. Well, I think it's still cool that people are discovering stuff like that. It's just weird, man.
It raised the question that I was asking when Codex Tech was like around and sort of up in the air what we were going to do about it. But at what point do we stop playing the game and do we just start playing the timer, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Which I think becomes nice daily reversal. Nice. Well, I think becomes a problem with like any IGT category, right?
Yeah.
I've seen this a lot in other games as well. Like in, so I ran Nier for a while, and while we don't do IGT in that game, we do.
When you say Nier, do you mean like Nier Automata?
Yeah, Nier Automata. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, so we do
popular Nier.
Yeah. So we do loadless time in that game, and there's this one instance of where, so we like, if you're unfamiliar with the Nier speedrun, there's a lot of clipping out of bounds. So we do this clip out of bounds, right? Where we get close enough to a save point where we can quit out and load to the save point. Or we can save and then quit out and then load to the save point. But it's slower RTA, but since it pauses the loadless timer, we do it. Which I think it's like in the same vein, right? Like you're playing the timer, not the game.
Yeah, I mean, already IGT has a bit of that because like picking up survival rooms in Thanatos is already just slower than playing the game normally. It's part of why I like RTAs. It's just like
same.
it is the
more
real
punishing.
Well, but it's
actually less punishing.
It's less punishing, yeah.
Mhm.
Like you don't have to. You can get like my IGTs on my good RTA runs. Like I just checked my like 1448, which is the only because people haven't submitted their times. It's going to be the RTA world record for a little bit. But like the I think my IGT was like 830 or something because you don't need the same level of luck.
Right.
You don't need to do all the little timer manipulation tricks.
Which I think, in a way, I think it's kind of cool that we offer both RTA and
Yeah,
IGT
absolutely.
runs.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's so much easier to sit down and get into this game brand new if you want to start running very like early on in your Hades career as an IGT runner, right?
Yeah, because it's so clear, right? Like you know what like 8 minutes means, or you know what 5 minutes means
You
in
also,
game time, but
you know,
you
get
don't
the
know what it
advantage
means otherwise.
of sitting down and like really thinking out your choices and if you want to spend that reroll, should you take this or that? What gives you the most benefit, right?
And even
if this game was a game like Slay the Spire, I think that would like that style of play mean like makes more sense because some like full Slay the Spire runs take like 6 hours.
Yeah.
You know, but you know like that's kind of how the game was supposed to be played, I guess. But for Hades, it seems kind of weird to stop and spend like forever, like 5 minutes on a decision. Not that we tend to do that anymore, but
that's what I think is the very cool thing about it is like even at a top level, it comes down to like what you want from speedrunning and what you care about, right? And we offer like both trains of thought in this game, which I think is cool.
I completely agree with that. Like, yeah, it may not be my thing, but like there's obviously people who've tried RTA and they go back to IGT and they're just like, oh, this is so much nicer because I get to game hard when I actually get into the rooms, and then as soon as I get onto a boon or something, I can take a break and think about things for a little while.
Yeah, IGT is definitely comfy. It's hard. The hard thing for me is thinking about what looks best in like a marathon format, right?
Sure.
Because there's a lot of advantages to IGT for a marathon, namely getting to sit down and say, I'm taking this boon because it affords me this, right?
Yeah.
Whereas in RTA, you take the boon and you say, yeah, I just picked that up, it does this, and then you have another decision coming up like almost immediately after, so you sort of gloss over.
Honestly, if I were to submit, or if anyone else honestly were to submit a like an any heat run to like a GDQ-ish thing, I almost think that you would want to run it IGT and just like extend the time a little bit to like expected time is 30 minutes or something.
Yeah.
That way you can sort of go through it.
I would actually agree with that, having done that marathon recently.
So
that being
I
said,
actually was about to say you were timing your run primarily RTA in that, and I wanted to ask how you felt that went.
So I think it's got its pros and cons, right? Like I think RTA you can really emphasize, you got to make decisions quickly, right? And that's the draw to RTA in a way. But I think going forward, I would like to do IGT in marathons just to be able to explain to like newer or people that just don't know this game, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Like you just have more opportunity.
I think optimal marathon strats for showing off Hades to a wide audience, right? Is for if you're running a single weapon format, you go IGT with a longer estimate. Or if you want to do RTA, you do 3 or all weapons. And you get solid commentators with you to explain for you.
Yeah, definitely.
I will say, huge hats off to Duunk0 for my run in the marathon, where I didn't have to explain a ton because they were on it. They explained the weapons, they explained what I was doing, what we were looking for, and all of that. And it definitely made my life easier, but it also allowed us to inform the audience as we went, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Which, as an RTA runner, is hard to do while you're running RTA.
Yeah, I've gotten better at it since I've been streaming RTA so much. Like, people but like I don't have to explain everything to people. I usually only have to explain like one or two things, whatever questions coming up in chat.
Yeah,
But
sure.
I would imagine explaining the whole thing without like some people on the side to help me out would be real tough. For context, by the way, for anybody who isn't quite aware, Webbs and Satan both did marathon runs at a charity marathon recently. Webbs did any heat run, and then they followed it up by an all weapons run by Satan. And Rist and I commentated the Satan run, and Vareem was there with Webbs for the any heat run. So
shout out to Stavor, by the way. I know that was his first time commentating anything, but he did a pretty good job.
I feel like that was really good exposure for him, like pre-GDQ prep, right?
Definitely.
I mean, he's gotten plenty of exposure though. Like he's been in articles and shit.
Well, less exposure in the sense of getting his name out, but more exposure to experience.
Oh, that's what I.
Right. Okay.
That's why I asked him in the first place, because I knew he had one coming up, so I wanted to get him to like dip his toes into it a bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll get to practice for GDQ a little bit with the commentary. It is coming up, and we haven't actually brought it up. I should probably bring it up.
Yes.
But yeah.
But I will say that was another thing that really helped us, is sitting down and doing just like more or less a full dry run to sort of see what it beforehand, see what the commentary was sounding like. Yeah, pretty much. See what commentary was sounding like, and more flesh out an idea of what we want it to look like, bouncing off of that, like episode 0 of the run.
Who's on the couch for GDQ, by the way?
Me, Halion, and Jerds.
Cool.
Nice.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it should be a fun time. It's a the three weapons run Vareem is going to be running is a, what's it called? It's a donation goal thing, or whatever.
Yeah, it's a bonus game.
A bonus game. Run. That's it. We're pretty much guaranteed to get it because they say we always hit them, but you know.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of donations, huge shout outs to the Hades community for showing up big for Velocity. The event raised like $1,200, and the Hades block alone raised $300, which is insane.
$300?
Yeah, we raised like a fourth of the total donations.
Damn, son.
Yeah.
Yeah, big shout outs to Tyler HK for getting us that Beowulf
legendary Beowulf run.
That run was nuts, by the way. It was so hype.
Dude, incentives on the fly, fuck yeah. Milking it.
Yes, sir.
By the way, just completely unrelated, more related to the thing that started this whole topic, the fish tech. Did you see the best thing that came out of the fish tech? The anti-fish tech? Where
what was that
Elo discovered, which is an exploit of the same thing, but done in reverse, that allows you to make the timer continue to run while fishing.
Really?
Why?
Yeah. You did it with hazard bomb in like the first chamber of Tartarus.
That's great.
Yeah.
Hades community is stupid. I changed my mind.
It's stupid in the best possible way.
No, I can do without. Speaking of stupidity, though, want to talk about the Hermes Cup a little bit, which happened just not 2 days ago. We by the way, you have no problem dating these episodes.
No, absolutely not. Cool. As we sit down and record this at 12:20 on at 8:07 p.m.
It's not 8:07 p.m. for me.
Eastern Standard Time.
All right.
No one cares about California time, but yeah. Congratulations. There were the games weren't as, I think, intense as the last.
Yeah.
The last one between like Webbs and Bablo was hype as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how my race versus Kron came across, but it was still a best of 3.
Yeah,
so.
It was pretty dope. Yeah.
The Super Soaker, both of you having a layout for it. It was hilarious.
Yeah. That I will say that was the most I was ever entertained on the Hermes Cup.
Maximum preparation.
Well, yeah, this one definitely was nowhere near the same level of like hype. But I also think that like this week, I know that even though I was feeling a little funky about my match versus Elo, a lot of people, I think Elo included, had already written off the thing as a loss for Elo.
Yeah.
Like, that was the thing, is that, like, in the Webs versus... In Webs versus Bablo, one, everybody's always hyped to see Bablo, but two, like, Webs had been grinding this stuff out, and obviously you were able to take that dub. So, like, there was a hype thing from, like, the reigning champion going up against somebody who could challenge his throne, right?
Right.
Whereas this week, the narrative was Elo hasn't really been practicing, and Dunk's been sick.
Yeah.
Now they're gonna go toe to toe. We'll see how the times go. Right.
Basically, the equivalent of like two 70-year-old men trying to reclaim the glory days of wrestling.
Yeah.
And they don't look too great with their shirts off. Is all I can say.
Granted, I don't think the times were too bad. Like, I think
they're
times
actually
were
fine.
Yeah, there
I
were
think
some
they were
good.
good.
They were good races.
Yeah.
I'm saying as if I watched it. I completely slept through it.
Yeah, you did. I was nagging you so hard to wake your ass
I was
up. But
dead to the world, homie.
Well, I understand.
I gotcha.
Yeah. See, don't get
You
to
have
it.
work. Your work is at a
Yeah.
weird time. You're good.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, it's like...
Dare you not support your friends?
Look, all right. I've supported my friends every single time, going so far as to say, hey man, best of luck to you out there before their races every time I'm watching, all right? I'm the most supportive friend, Mr. 2D.
Speaking of,
He
you
is
want to
very
know what I told Museus right before his match?
What's that?
What?
It was all caps, beat his fucking ass.
Here's the thing. So for the Museus versus JDN match, I was actually, I can't remember who asked. I don't know if it was you, Dunk, or if it was someone else. Maybe it was on stream. But I was asked who would win, like who my money was on. Obviously, it was on you versus Elo.
Mm-hmm.
But for the Museus versus JDN match, I was like, JDN's been grinding hard, dude.
Yeah.
Like, he's been playing the video game.
We talked about this on episode 0 where we were making our predictions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I said Museus won it, and then Riss said, really? You think so? And then he made me second guess. Let's fucking go, Museus. I always believed in you.
So I will say, in JDN's defense, he did have food poisoning during that. Yeah, he had been in the bathroom 5 times during our race prep. Like, he had to leave a whole bunch of times because nice nice getting hit, bro. So
nice burn, bro.
Yeah, no, I could not think of it. I was thinking about music.
No worries.
I was thinking about JDN going to the bathroom. So yeah,
out of context.
Exactly. I said it because I knew it would be funny out of context.
Perfect.
But yeah, JDN had food poisoning that day and was feeling really under the weather. So he definitely had a little bit of not great stuff going on. He even said himself that he wasn't playing very well, which was likely to do with the fact that he was messed up. So
even so, I think he still put out some good times. It's unfortunate that he wasn't feeling great though.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this has
Don't
happened
get it wrong.
This happened to JDN twice, I think.
I was sitting here thinking,
really?
Isn't JDN just like the most unlucky Hermes Cup runner? Because like
That's
something
still gotta go to
always
Vareem.
comes up.
No,
I feel like that
it's
still
definitely
goes
got to
to
go to
Vareem.
Vareem. Yeah.
Well, like I'm talking about
He
external
lost to
out
me.
of game,
And
external out of game luck, right? To where
Sure.
JDN just always has some negative debuff going into the night of, right?
negative debuff.
Sometimes
IRL
it's raccoons
debuff.
breaking into his house. Sometimes it's food poisoning. We never know.
Yeah. I remember the raccoons breaking into his house. So raccoons broke
Did
into his
that
house
happen?
once. Yeah, that actually happened.
Fuck.
Yeah.
He just
Freeze,
went to his
motherfucker.
kitchen or something. There were 2 raccoons just chilling.
Yep. And if I remember correctly, he wasn't very well on the night of the Hermes Cup 1 finals. Like, he actually had something going on the night of the Hermes Cup 1 finals. It was pretty fucked
Take
up.
that Ares, pussy.
Yeah, I should have.
Yeah, you should have taken the Aries.
It's okay, Ares in the shop.
Oh.
Fuck.
Buy the
God
Artie, you
damn it.
wiener.
So
I'm saving my cash.
Okay, yeah, because you want Ares in the end shop.
Yeah.
I think
sense.
I think an important thing to note about Webb's beating Bablo and Duunk0 moving on, which we kind of saw coming, but at the same time, with that happening, that means Dunk doesn't get his sweet revenge clapping those finished cheeks.
I know, clapping those finished cheeks.
I think your assumption that I even could is probably out. It's probably out there because, like, I guess we should talk a little bit.
If I can do it, you can do it.
Well, but here's the thing.
True.
Webbs. You actually grinded out these aspects. Like, you actually like playing some of them.
I
don't.
Dunk. I don't know if you know what my preparation
I don't know if you
before.
remember what Webbs was doing a week before and the week of Hermes Cup, but I do, as I was right there doing it with them. We were playing Destiny 2.
Destiny 2, baby.
However, you, as the Webbins of 2D, did in fact play a shitload of Talos and Lucifer, right? Like, I don't touch those aspects generally. So, like, I'll be the first to admit that my aspect pool is pretty limited as far as things that I've actually played an extensive amount. Like, I've played really just the all weapons aspects, and then the all weapons, like, side aspects, the ones that you can play if you're not playing the main ones, right?
Like Rama.
For sure.
Yeah, like Rama, and another notable one would be Poseidon Sword, right? So, like, Poseidon Nemesis.
Yep.
So, like, this pool is not favorable for the kind of practice that I've done, and, like, you got some sick times on Lucifer, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, both of them.
Dummy
I think that was like
times.
the fastest Hermes Cup has gone. That I've seen at the very least. In terms of both racers.
Oh yeah, in terms of both racers for sure. I think there have been races where one person has gone that fast. I know that, like, in the previous cup there were a couple of races where both Bablo and I went that fast, but I don't since I choked super hard in the finals, only one of us went that fast in the finals.
Right.
The best time out of the Hermes Cup is actually strangely still from Ronnie Bablo versus Ronnie.
Really?
His 1602 Lucifer run was against Ronnie. Yeah, because that was a
1602 is insane.
On a
three sack.
What the
Jesus. I noted
Pablo,
that during
please.
when we were talking about the last Hermes Cup, because apparently the 1715 I got was like the fourth fastest run in the Hermes Cup, and I was like, meh.
I just want to point it out, the two fastest runs in this Hermes Cup, both Lucifer.
Yeah,
that is
Lucifer's
true.
fast.
Lucifer's good.
Yeah, Lucifer
like,
rail is the Eris rail of Hermes Cup.
Lucifer rail is the Eris rail that is second best to Eris rail itself, right? Like, if Eris rail didn't exist, Lucifer rail would be the thing, I believe.
Yeah.
Because, like, the other option, what's the other option? Zag rail spread fire?
Lol.
Lol.
Well, you sort of touched on it a little bit, Dunk, but how are you feeling about the potential future where you may have to face Webbs? Are you worried about that matchup at all, knowing that he has at least two aspects that, like, he fucking loves out of this pool?
I mean, yeah,
dude.
I would absolutely. I mean, like, Webbs, you know, I'm banning Lucifer if we ever go up against each other. Right?
Man.
I'm not letting you have that.
Okay. Guess I'm really grinding fists, it seems.
Who knows?
Banning
I might not
fist
even
too,
let you have that.
Shit.
We're going to be playing
we have
Rama fucking Arthur.
Right, honestly, if the writers over at Hermes Cup are any good, like, so the story has kind of, there's actually been more of a story, with a potential story with this Hermes Cup than I think there's been for, like, any previous ones. Correct me if I'm wrong, but, like, Webbs beating Bablo, for one thing, fucking
nice
huge.
Aries.
Second, nice Aries. Second, I have also been, like, low-key destroying everyone I've, like, ever had a coaching session with, basically.
Oh, right.
Including Satan.
Yeah.
Destroyed in the in a
Except
three
for Zoo
in a
Shield.
3-1.
Yeah,
So-
we're not gonna.
Which
I
I
think your
can't
definition of destroy is a little out
also,
there.
Kron still took a game off of you.
Yeah.
This
On Zeus
destroyed
Shield.
narrative
And
is wrong because
you-
you've consistently gone down at least one game.
Also, you
On Zoo Shield.
scammed Kron. I'm gonna say
I
this
scammed
live on
Kron.
air. You scammed Kron by going to Super Soaker. Like, the thing is, Kron agreeing to Super Soaker was the greatest bad decision he has ever made, because you were the inventor of the Super Soaker category, and he decided to take you off of an actually good Lucifer build and go to the thing that you're freaking a previous world record holder in. Come on now.
I mean, you're sort of upplaying the significance of the Super Soaker title. It's not that big.
Well, okay,
I
so
mean,
the
this is-
thing about the Super Soaker title is it's not about how good Super Soaker title is or whatever. It's the fact
Not
that you
how
have experience
lucky you
with the
are.
build, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that too.
That's the thing, is that Kron's experience with the Super Soaker build was just so much less than yours. So in the end, I think him making the decision to take you up on the Super Soaker thing, who initiated the Super Soaker thing? Was it you?
I suggested it.
Yeah,
Of
since
course you did.
Of course you did.
Of
So-
course he did.
So as soon as he agreed to that suggestion, he had lost that round, and so it
Yeah.
was down to winning whatever the last round was. Because if you guys had gone regular Lucifer, and then he had managed to take it, he would have taken it in 2.
If it
True.
for a little bit of little peeping behind the curtain for Riss and I's run, he approached me saying, "Hey man, you want to do a Super Soaker run?" And I said, "Lol, no, I'm banning Lucifer."
It's funny that you say that because he has also
Hey,
approached me.
Wait, I have not approached you on
yes,
doing
you
a super.
have.
Have I?
You
okay,
have.
maybe I have.
Webs
You
do
should
I
not
also
said-
say, "Lol,
don't
no."
I
do
said
it.
no mega law. I'm trying to win.
I'm
There we
Mephisto,
go.
just visiting every run. Hey kid.
I will not repeat Kron's mistake. No sir.
Sort of.
Well, see,
Oh,
I'm
jeez.
like the guy in the tournament arc who's winning, but people know he doesn't deserve it.
Right.
So, and the real anime protagonist has to beat him in a fair fight, even though the other guy's cheating, right? Which is
Right.
Yeah.
which is what Webbs does, right? Because Webbs is on a similar path, a similar story path, where he's going to be just knocking out the previous champions one by one, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if he beats me, for sure. If he beats you and then beats me,
Well, if he
then
beats
yeah.
me,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, you were second place.
Oh yeah,
I'm
I
sorry.
guess.
You
Wow.
have to have the
You're,
title.
you're not a real
Myself.
champion, okay?
No, I was thinking of myself as because I was a runner-up. That's in the same sort of
No,
top end
barely even.
classification.
Sorry,
Second
who are
place
you
is
again?
no
Oh,
one gives a
fucking
shit.
God.
Who? Who's this guy?
Second place, get out of here. You're not invited to our cocktail party where we wear masks and have orgies. You went
Of
Bablo.
just Wrist and Bablo. The cocktail party
did
where they
note.
wear wrists and have orgies of just Wrist and Bablo.
Wow, that's actually pretty kinky. All right.
Sorry,
unrelated.
George noted what?
At the start
unrelated
of the
to-
last thing. Oh,
No,
Jared's didn't
yeah.
note at the start of the last thing that I'm the favorite to win the tournament now because I have
Oh, take
because of the
Bablo's out.
because Bablo's out. I'm now the highest seeded player in the tournament, and I took that and went, lol. Because I'm not really practicing very much.
Sort
I
of.
don't think anyone
Same,
is.
honestly.
To sort of stray away
Like,
from Hermes Cup a little bit, if that's fine with y'all.
Mhm.
What do y'all
And
think
I-
about?
Sorry, go on.
I was just gonna ask what y'all thought about the big speed mod that's sort of in the works, and it is Hermes Cup related because it sort of started out as the racing mod, and I think it'll be sort of warped into
Well,
more in
okay,
the
so what
basis
we'll-
of the speed mod.
So we'll correct that right here. This is not a.
No, it's not for Hermes
is
Cup,
not-
right?
It's not for or it's not even based off of it. It's not going to be using any of the I mean, I suspect it'll be using the SAC technology, but this is so far removed from the
Yeah.
speed mod,
Yeah.
that from the mod that we use for Hermes Cup.
I like that phrase, SAC technology.
SAC technology.
You would like that one,
Yeah.
Webs. You would. That's a very Web statement.
Yes, sir.
Gaming technology, SAC
But yeah.
technology.
There's a there's a huge speed mod currently in the works with it's Museus and one or two other people, I think.
Yeah.
It's basically
I was
LO.
gonna be working on it, but then I just have not had the time.
Yeah.
Could someone give me like the rundown of what it's supposed to be? 'Cause I know jack shit
boy.
about it.
A lot.
Yeah. So
there's a lot that's going into it.
So our thoughts going into it was we're basically we want to have a mod that's modular, so we can like just do whatever. We can have all these settings turned on and off, whatever, mix and match however we'd like. But want something that at its absolute top end has like total 100%, I guess, for like a better word, fairness, where RNG is removed. So, for instance, one of the features we've been working on is like room tile sets are no longer randomized; they're fixed by depth.
Okay.
So this is with racing in mind specifically, so that it's not like, this person got a really great layout, but this person got a really bad layout. Now it's like, they all get the same layout. And also, we're open for something similar with enemy spawns, where people will get the same enemy spawns, so there's no like variance in that. One of the big changes that is actually like 100% successful, props to LO for figuring that shit out, is making chaos into an interactable.
Yep. Chaos interactable, as well as a visual on a room that is a fountain room on the door itself. Like it glows blue when it's a fountain room, and like a fountain.
Also visuals on mini bosses to show
the mini boss before you pick it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking sick, actually. Okay, so essentially, it's turning it into a more traditional speedrun, where it's purely skill based and no RNG.
Yeah,
and
specifically for things like racing.
Well, okay, so when we say RNG, we have to be careful, because RNG can also mean like unpredictability, right? The unpredictability will still be there, because we won't know, like the racers won't know what's happening or what's going to happen. They're just going to play the game. But the thing is, they'll be both sent the same shit.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, it's not like totally predictable.
Do you
by a player.
Do you see end game for some players on the boards, even if with like the adoption of that, there being like a standardized settings for a modded section of runs ran on the mod itself?
Probably. I mean, like
I think so. Yeah.
The whole point of this is to have nice. The whole point of this is to have every single setting that you can think of being toggleable in a way. Right. Mm-hmm. So, essentially, I'm sure that if we ever have like if this ever gets finished, I should say. Yeah.
We're really close to an initial draft.
Yeah.
Where we're just missing like one thing. Oh, fuck.
Bop. Yeah. So once this gets finished, I'm sure that there will be a lot of conversation in the community about whether or not it's going to be adopted. It'll probably be adopted as a subcategory in my eyes, because
a modded category for sure.
Yeah, because I think that unless the modded category like overcomes the unmodded category as far as popularity goes, like most people are going to want to run the game without a mod.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the modded category will allow us to do things like toggle any settings that we want, and then you can have like a modded any heat, and modded any heat has whatever settings, like hey, we always want to have fan, or we always want to have this or that, we want to turn off tiny vermin or whatever.
Yeah,
I think people will jump at the chance of being able to run the game without like fan or like barge or something like that.
Maybe. I don't know.
Of heading. So something very interesting that has happened in speedrunning that's been like big news. It's Minecraft speedrunning specifically, but the whole dream cheating thing, right? I think the idea of having modded boards sort of almost I feel like it's a thing where like there's always a slight fear that someone on the top end of a category that's well known and that the community trusts ends up cheating a run, right?
Right.
And I think especially if it ends up big, and I'm almost certain it will be. Maybe not as big as unmodded any heat, right? But I think the modded side of things would help mitigate the idea of the Minecraft mods brought up the idea that it's more likely for a top player to cheat than you would think because they know the game better than your average player and they can cheat more effectively.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, definitely.
And so, there's the argument that as a top player, you tend to feel entitled to good runs and bad luck streaks feel worse. And I don't think we would run into an entitlement thing. I think it would just help save on some runners' burnout of the thought of I'm a top runner, but it's been 2 weeks since I got a run out of Asphodel, right?
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah, right.
The thing is, I understand that mindset, right? Like, I know, like, assuming that theory is correct, I understand what's going through Dream's head, right? It's like,
yeah.
Dude, this sucks. Like, I'm just running the same shit over and over again, and apparently this, like, whatever this latest patch was, it introduced a lot of like bad RNG elements. Not that I know what they are because I don't play Minecraft, but you know that's a familiar story to anyone who's speedrun Hades, right? It's like, yep, sure would be nice to run the game without all of this, or at least with significantly less of this RNG,
right?
Of these RNG problems.
I mean, legitimately, I think that I would have way more fun with all weapons. Like, I already love the category so much, but if I could just turn off Fan Barge Tiny Vermin, then I would just be able to, like, have the runs, you know, unfold as they may, but, like, no Fan Barge Tiny Vermin would, like, just make it so that, and even, like, maybe just 2 sacks only would just make it so that my runs would be so much better.
Yeah,
well,
I'd be fine with no Than, no Barge, like 2 sack only. Even that would be like a category.
Well, because then, like, at that point, you can really start to push for an optimal time, right?
Yeah, I mean, I already do, but it's just painful.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and like that's the thing with all weapons, right? Is we've seen the start of the potential of the category in an optimal sense, but it's not like. It's not like any heat where a routed run ends up happening, right? And you see what the absolute top end of the game looks like with insanely best case scenario. We haven't seen... Yeah. We've gotten hints at that with really good runs, but the thing is those really good runs will always have, like, 1, maybe 2 just real stinker weapons in it. Yeah. And so we haven't seen what the perfect all-weapons run looks like, right?
Yeah. I mean, like... Yeah, no, I mean, even the lowest time that's ever been recorded was on last patch. It was my 142 whatever, and that run still had like an 18-minute Demeter Fist run in it, which was
stinky.
Yeah,
real bad.
Also, I had a level 3 Athena dash there. So
yeah,
I'm just gonna like.
Yeah,
no, that's a reset.
Like my standards are definitely like lower since we're just like chilling. But fuck that, man. I don't want to deal 20 damage with my dash. I want to be a special. Something, please.
Spare specials, ma'am.
Spare specials, man.
Just a Chrome special.
How are you guys feeling about Hades speedrunning as a whole? You guys feeling motivated? More of the same? Anyone feeling burnt out?
I'm liking these segues, brother, man.
Yeah. I'm trying to. We have a script, and I'm trying to.
He's
go
the host.
With it.
He's one of the hosts. Webs, like, I mean, at least one of us is doing our job.
You know, Wrist is on gameplay
I'm the guest.
tonight. Dunk's vibing.
Yeah.
And you know what, Webs? You're a vibe lord. I'm letting you just vibe, and I'm segueing through the topics. You know.
I appreciate it. We're all filling our roles here. We're doing it.
Exactly.
We have the person doing the gameplay, Vibe King, guest, and then the person who actually makes us stay on track.
I like the narrative of I'm the Vibe King, but Dunk is like the Vibe Squire or Vibe Apprentice.
The Vibe Prince.
Yeah.
Only
Duunk0,
yet
Prince
to
of Vibe.
master the vibe.
I mean, have you seen my streams? I don't vibe on those streams. I am full all in all the time.
The Vibe Padawan.
That's
Vibe
great.
Padawan.
Hey,
Yeah,
does he have 2 of those ponytail things or
3? One
Three.
on the left, one on the right, one down his forehead.
My hair's getting long enough. I might actually be able to do that at this point. Ugh.
Oh, nice. All right, anyways,
COVID hair.
to follow up on the segue.
How you feeling?
You know, I've been going through a bit of burnout. I feel I just took a bit of a very short break. Short because I've got nothing better to do with my days. I'm just gonna do speedruns. But break because the game just gets exhausting for me when I put like a lot of pressure on myself, right? So I had to like sit back and just think about how I want to speedrun. And it was a bit of like a mentality check, right? Which I think people should do more often if they're not having fun speedrunning.
For sure.
Yeah, as soon as I started entering like Dunk, I don't know how you do world records strats, okay? Because I was like, okay, I'll return to all, because for a while I just completely abandoned all weapons, and I was like, let's do first run, baby. I had a lot of fun. I grinded out a pretty good time, 23 minutes, pretty fast. But then I was like, okay, I'll come back to all weapons, and I was like, you know what? It's been a while. I might have the juice to do some world record strats. You know, why not? I'll grind for double edge, and after an hour of not finding double edge, I was like, go do something else.
To be fair, did you do this on 137 or 1.0?
Still on 137.
Okay, so I've done a lot of testing over the last week. I announced this to some people in my Discord, but like I was getting really frustrated with all weapons last week, and I realized that the reason is because I had deluded myself over a good day. I had deluded myself because of one good day of Nemesis runs that Nemesis was still viable this patch. It is not.
No.
Wait, why is it not viable?
It literally needs like the things that you need to be able to get a like sub 16-minute time with any kind of reliability on this patch are in this order: double edge, Artemis attack, hunter dash, epic dash strike chaos, and epic dashes. If you don't have, or you need at least +1 dash, epic dash strike chaos, as well as heartrend and smoldering air. And if you don't have that whole setup, because I went back and looked at all my good runs and scanned through to see like what did happen here that got me the sub 16, you need an absolutely stupid build to be able to actually sub 16 on Nemesis in this patch. It's disgusting. So I did like 30 hours of Nemesis grinding or something last week and got really sick of it, and eventually just was like, there's something is wrong here. This cannot just be bad RNG. And I looked at it and realized I confirmed via statistics and analysis, and by that I mean I looked at about 4 good runs and went, oh.
This is the problem.
Well, in any case, my issues weren't just like they had nothing to do with the times. It was just like I can't get the hammer that I want.
Fatigue of looking for that one hammer, resetting and going again.
And so for me, like resetting in Tartarus isn't terribly fun. I'm fine with resetting on like very limited things, like because for a while when I did all weapons, I'm like, okay, I'll reset on like a 4-sack, you know?
Right.
It wasn't like, oh, I must get this thing out of Tartarus. But as soon as I got there to that point mentally, I was like, you know what? I'm not having fun anymore. Like it's, and like props to you, Dunk, for having the nads to grind, but and I don't know if Webbs and or Satan feels it, but like my new approach is going to be a lot more, I guess, casual. Like I still want a good time, but I mostly just want to play the game.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So this is something, I'm glad you said the word casual specifically, because this is something I used to talk about a lot, even before I started speedrunning Hades. I wish more people would popularize, or like I wish that was a more popular mindset of just casual speedrunning. Because like you can still go for an okay time, but I think you should prioritize still having fun with the hobby, right?
I think the interesting thing about speedrunning is there's sort of a curve, right? where a lot of people initially get into running their game as a casual thing they want to do for them because they love the game and they want to beat it quickly, right? And then as you get better, you sort of approach the mindset of I can be a really good runner, so you start taking it, more seriously and pushing yourself and trying really, really hard, and you sort of reach this plateau of, all right, I'm good at the game now and I can go really fast, but it takes a lot out of me to put this much into it, and it's hard to sort of be okay once you've sort of reached the peak, stepping back down off the mountain a little bit and just enjoying the runs again,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think at a certain point, like I think top runners eventually go through that cycle.
Yeah.
And like you get to even see this in Vareem, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because he just took a pretty long break, and like he's back doing it now. I know he's still busy or whatever, but
yeah, he's been pretty busy with work.
Yeah, it's like good to take breaks and reevaluate what you want out of your speed game.
This is interesting. This is an interesting conversation because I'm listening to you guys all agreeing about this, and I think I agree with you in concept, but like in execution for how my brain works, I just have never hit that. I've never gotten
and
to that
it's
point.
definitely like a subjective thing, and it's like personality based too, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
There are people out there in the world that are able to sit there and still, once they get to the top, grind it out, stay on top, and be very content with that, right?
Yeah. And like, I think that at a certain point, like, I have been thinking that once I get my next all weapons PB, my plan is to just go and do some meme runs, and I have a little special thing planned on stream in a bit that it's a I'm not gonna say what it is right now. I'll tell you guys after. But
for sure.
But it'll be fun. It's something I've wanted to do for a little while. But I have some stuff planned that isn't like top level speed gaming. And that's something that I definitely want to do. It's just at the same point, I don't feel that same kind of burnout that a lot of people get.
That's so I will say, I feel that the reason, I think the reason being, like, I am so opinionated on the topic, and I think it's fine to feel that way, right? Yeah. Like, not being burnt out. If you're not burnt out, that's cool. It's fine. But the reason I am so opinionated on the topic, and why I think more people should take breaks to avoid said burnout, is because I've been in that mindset before. So I'm sure y'all know, I've run Kingdom Hearts before, right?
Poster percent.
Yeah, okay, suck my balls. But like this, it's not a new feeling for me. And touching a world record in Hades was not the first time I've been in that position. So I did a category called data org, and for a while, for like a solid year, I grinded that category to as far as I could push it on the hardware I was on. And I fucking hate that category now. I cannot stand it. I still like watching it.
Yeah.
But like, I don't want that to happen with Hades. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's something that can happen if you do it, or if you push yourself too hard for too long.
And it sneaks up on you. So like, this is kind of my first rodeo when it comes to speedrunning. This is not my first rodeo when it comes to like getting world records, because I did high heat before speedrunning, and I did hold records. But like this, weirdly enough, this is an experience that resonates with me coming out of RuneScape.
Yeah,
where you're
like,
when you're in it, like you're in it, right? You're like,
yeah.
Oh my god, like this is my thing. I can do this forever, and then just suddenly, you don't want to do it anymore.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you don't know why. It just ends. And you're like, okay, I can walk away from this.
Right.
Now, for RuneScape, it was very much a, like, I don't have to snort cocaine off of a hooker's dick every day. But,
relatable.
But with, with Hades, it's like something I do want to keep snorting. So.
Man, RuneScape is a very different experience than I'd been led to believe. I didn't know you snorted cocaine off of hookers' dicks in RuneScape.
It's
shit goes down in Lumpy, dog.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know shit about RuneScapes.
I'm pretty sure in the tutorial they touch on the cocaine part.
They teach you how to do it in the tutorial.
There is a setting that you can activate to. It's a hidden drug level basically where it's your drugs.
Sort of quickly touch on my own thoughts. I'm sort of in the middle of a long break. Yes, and like it's funny because I think when I do plan to come back, I do plan to stream more, I do plan to run the game more. I'm sort of in transitional phase of starting a new job off the tail end of like really bad burnout. And I definitely experienced the burnout, but like me playing the game, the past like 2-3 times I've really sat down and played the game were for events and stuff where I wasn't, I was looking to make the game look good, and I was looking to have fun with it as opposed to looking to, PB. And, I wasn't chasing a PB when, we did the marathon run. I wasn't chasing a PB when I was doing Hermes Cup, and those were like the last 2 times I really sat down and played. And I got so much more enjoyment out of just playing the game to play the game as opposed to playing the game for the lower number. That I definitely agree with you, Webbs, that I'll take my running a little less seriously as I'm easing back into things. I may sit down and I may try to, PB or something at some point. But that's much further on down the line, I think.
Yeah. You know what I think's cool about, since we're kind of like touching on how it affects your enjoyment of like the game, right? I think it ties into streaming as well, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like people produce better content when they're still enjoying the game.
Absolutely.
And that's something I've noticed.
I will admit, my last week doing the Nemesis stuff, like that was, I think, the first time I've really felt like, oh, fuck this.
Right.
Because things were going so poorly. And I think it came across in my stream, especially by the end of the whatever stream I was doing. Like, I would get to the point where I'm just like, that looks great. That looks great on my waveform, by the way.
Viewers can definitely tell what's up. Like if you're not enjoying it at all, you can definitely tell as a viewer.
Yeah.
I also think streaming can sometimes lead into the burnout a little bit too, right? Because it's easy to sit down and go for attempts on stream, but streaming adds an extra bit of drain to your runs, right? Like, I'm not surprised in the slightest bit that I ended up feeling burnt out on Hades when I did, because I looked at my like stream stats from Twitch, and in my first month of like playing and learning and getting good at the game, I streamed for like 220 hours.
You did a ton, dude.
Like, I did a ton of time, and it was one of those things that I didn't realize until I saw that very large number very in front of my face for that month, right?
Yeah. I will say that's why I set a schedule and I almost never deviate from it.
Yeah.
Like you can see that I looked at my stream stats, and yes, I've been streaming more and more recently, but like it's been all on the same days at the same hours. I'm just streaming a little longer, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, it ends up being and that really helps, is just never turning on my stream when I am not expecting to.
For sure. I do agree. So like that, to mirror kind of what you were saying earlier, Dunk, in concept, I agree with you. But at the same time, I'm also just streaming like every fucking day.
Yeah.
I got nothing better to do with my goddamn time.
Yeah.
I like just vibing on stream. Although I will say, after streaming for the amount of time that I've streamed, even for like the relatively small audience, I understand why streamers take breaks.
Absolutely.
Right? Like,
oh my god.
Because like beforehand, I was like, I actually vividly remember thinking this. There's a streamer named Dolphin Chemist, if you know who he is. He plays or he played a lot of Slay the Spire, but he also played like Path of Exile off stream. I was like, hey, I'd like to watch Dolphin play at Path of Exile. Why doesn't he play Path of Exile? Why doesn't he stream? Why doesn't he stream Path of Exile? And like, I mean, I never asked him. I never like thought about that. But then after this, I'm like, it is kind of nice to play a game off stream, right?
To play a game for you,
Oh, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
It's not to say that you can't play games for you on stream, but it's definitely different, right? You don't have to interact with anyone. You can go full, like, degenerate mode, curl up, throw on the blankie, and just grilling away for 16 hours.
No.
I mean, legitimately... oh, no, you continue, Webbs.
Okay, I was just going to say, or if you're like me, just present yourself like that on stream. It's fine.
I mean, yeah, people asked me when Cyberpunk was coming out, they were like, oh, are you going to stream Cyberpunk? And I went, no, I wouldn't, even if I had the setup to be able to do it at the moment. Because if I'm going to play that game, I want to do it off stream where I can just focus on it and do just that and enjoy the game, Like, when I play Hades on stream, like, when I started doing it, I mean, back in the olden times when Rist was the only person in my chat. But
OG Dunk viewer.
Yeah, I mean, Rist, for people who may not know, Rist is the person who got me into the Hades community because he came in, found my tiny little stream with 0 people in it streaming the game, decided to hang out and come back and view more than once. Like, Rist actually just vibed like for several weeks.
That's always a nice feeling.
And then what happened is he raided me with people like Vareem and stuff, and that's what got me introduced to all these people. So like, back in those days, though, I knew nothing about speedrunning, but I was playing the game for fun and my own enjoyment, but on stream. But I'd also already played like 40 hours before I ever streamed it, because I wanted to get some experience for me before I ever had to interact with anyone while also playing the game,
Yeah, definitely. On a bit of a side note, it's so interesting to hear like people's how they start in a community, right? Or like how they start streaming. That's super cool. It was a little easier for me coming into Hades because, I did a lot of stuff before this. I already had a bit of an audience. That being said, everyone that watched my stream before...
not playing... You're not playing Kingdom Hearts anymore, dog.
That's like Vareem's 1,000 followers that he had from playing from
Ocarina of Time.
Ocarina of Time.
Oh, yeah.
I will say, I think my favorite memory just in Hades speedrunning, and I think about this not regularly, but I think about it every once in a while. And it was like literally my first day sitting down and streaming my runs, right? I had said maybe 4 things in the Discord total, asking questions. And then I said like 2 things in Vareem's chat, right? But like watching Vareem's all weapon run, like the 149 that was record at the start of 1.0, right? Yeah. I watched that, and that made me want to get into running Hades, and why all weapons was my like end goal for running. And I picked Eris Rail because it looked like the most fun aspect to me out of all of them. And so I sat down and I was just doing some Eris runs, and then like within the same like 10-minute period at the tail end of like my first run, like Vareem was in the chat talking, he had followed me, Rist was there, like a ton of just like the mainstays of the community just like all popped up all at once, and it was really, really cool.
Interesting that you say that, because I recall having to bully Rist into following me.
You did. You also had to bully Bablo into following me. Bablo followed me while he was verifying my all weapons run. All of my followers were natural.
Yeah.
Webbs had to cry and beg to get some of the follows he's got today.
Museus. I had to beg Duunk0. I had to beg Rist. The only
person
didn't
that
have to
follow me. You didn't have to beg me.
Okay, I might be wrong. But...
No. The thing is, I just wasn't coming to your streams regularly, but as soon as I came in for like the second time, I was like, oh, I'm gonna shoot this guy a follow.
Spare follows, man.
What I had to do is I had to bully you to get VIP in your chat.
Oh yeah.
You did.
Oh.
No, I had solid reasoning because you didn't give me VIP in your chat. That's how that works.
You got it diamond for diamond, bro. Just like I had to sword for sword with webs.
Yeah.
You didn't have to sword for sword with me. I just gave you and wrist sword out of nowhere.
I don't know why I have sword, but here we go.
I gave you sword because I maybe mistakenly thought that you would have the responsibility of using it appropriately. But
well, you know,
there haven't been any instances.
Why didn't you take that Ares?
Don't have an attack yet, homie.
We don't need it where we're going.
What? Oh my god.
That's good.
Chris.
Deadly reversal.
No.
Chris.
I'll destroy.
Oh my god.
All right, so this is going to be the first 45-minute run.
Jesus.
Hey, listen, my very first run clear, I had every
it was every Athena
boon except for the attack.
I feel like that happens to a lot of
safe.
people.
No, I still have not finished the first round.
Take more Athena roll.
Oh my god. Get more Athena.
I mean, I
Just
probably
Divine
could
Protection.
finish one, but I don't. I could probably finish the first run with, like, if I just took all Athena, but at the same time, I want to finish a first run right, you know?
Yeah. I need
Y'all
to...
remember when Codex Tech was, like, floating for a decision on it, and everyone decided, you know what, I'm going to start running first run.
Well,
don't worry about it.
What I did is I just went, I'm just going to play RTA. Don't worry about it. I just play my good old RTA categories. Who gives a shit?
I'm waiting for the day when someone legit asks for first run coaching, because that'll be fun.
Oh, yeah. The category is getting more popular.
No.
Fuck.
Is it?
Yeah. And there have been more people asking about it in the chat than usual.
Interesting.
Yeah. A couple people have been looking at the guides and things, so it has been picking up some momentum, though I wouldn't say that it's a popular category yet, right?
Well, it'll become less popular once people learn how difficult it is.
Oh yeah. Fair share dough.
For sure. All right. Well, I think this is a good spot to end the Hades section.
Oh,
went a little bit longer than usual,
Longer
than planned.
But that's fine. I think we got some good
there.
discussion
I think
in
it was all right. So anyone who's here for Hades can now leave.
You can hit the people exit before we go down.
I should leave, right? That's
no. You stay. You stay.
You're
You are not allowed.
Fuck.
You're not allowed to leave.
The gun is against your head.
Oh no.
I mean, you don't have to talk about anime. You can just, you just snuggle up with that body pillow.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's gonna be my strategy.
You're already in some position. I mean, on the scene, the gnome's crotch area is like strategically behind some pillows.
Nice.
All right,
Gotta hide the gnome cock.
We know what I'll be doing during this discussion of anime.
Yes.
You say
something that can only be done on camera if your cock is hidden.
Yeah, you say that like you haven't been doing it already throughout the podcast.
Yeah.
That's just me, or
there is a reason why we don't use video for this.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
it's also freaks me out that Satan in real life is a Obama Yoda hybrid.
Yes.
Wearing a Santa hat.
Yes.
That's the most surprising thing.
That is just me. That's actually just a selfie, honestly.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is a real image.
So
anime, right?
Yeah. So last time we sat down and we're talking about the podcast, we had the idea for the anime segment. We all sat down and watched through Haven't You Heard of Sakamoto, and this time through, my second recommendation before I take a back seat and stop hogging the spot was The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. Rist, you wrote up the introduction. You read the introduction.
Yeah. So, just for anyone who doesn't know what this show is, this is a show that I think ran through from 2006 to 2009 or something like that.
Yep.
Right? It's 2 seasons, available in Funimation. The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya is about a group of high schoolers who are recruited into an adventure-seeking club made by high school student, 10th grade, I think, Haruhi Suzumiya. She wants to meet aliens, time travelers, and do a bunch of other interesting things because she finds the regular world boring. But she's also a literal god who will destroy the world if she finds it too boring. And the club members are all actually like aliens and time travelers and all that weird bullshit. And their job is to keep her entertained so that she does not end up destroying the world. It reads a lot like a, I guess, what is it? Slice of life comedy sort of thing.
It's in like slice of life format, but the way like a friend of mine showed me it, and the reason why I loved it so much and why I really, really just enjoy the show as a whole is there's another anime out there that's similar to this. It's
I think
something like Bunny Girl Senpai is like the short name for it. But it's the idea of you take a slice of life format for an anime where it's like school kids doing school kid stuff, but like there's a major twist that makes it not slice of life. Yes. And I think it's actually like a really cool format. And it's my favorite way to watch slice of life-esque anime.
Yeah, that's fair.
So what did you guys think? I will sit here and sing the praises of Haruhi all day.
Right. So I'll go first.
Yeah,
because I'm listed first.
Let's go around the room. Well, let's go around the room for like general impressions, and then we can get into like more specifics.
Yep.
Okay. So hot take right off the bat. I like the show. I fucking hate Haruhi.
That's fair.
I thought she was super annoying and contributes damn near nothing to the plot. Or maybe not the plot, but like the show as a
aside from
whole.
Being like a catalyst for destruction and chaos.
Yeah. It's one of those shows where I felt was not so much about the main character, but more about the supporting characters, which is fine.
See One Punch Man.
Yeah, exactly.
But I tend to end up not liking the main characters of those types of shows for that reason. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Haruhi in particular is just a fucking annoying little brat that is
well, I think the main character of the show, the other main character of the show agrees with you. Like Kyon.
Yeah, Kyon is the main character, in my opinion.
Yeah,
he's effectively like he's not the titular character, but he is the main character, I think.
Yeah.
Even though the show does not revolve around him.
Yeah, so for the unfamiliar, it's told mainly from Kyon's perspective, and Haruhi happens to be there fucking some shit up.
Yeah, he's like the only normal kid. Like everyone else has some like crazy trait about them that makes them supernatural or otherwise out of this world interesting. But he's just a regular guy, and he functions very much like a regular high school guy.
He's just a dude drug into the shit being a dude.
Yeah.
Like
one of my favorite things is it's a bit of a recurring thing where he's constantly thinking about like, why the fuck am I here?
Right.
Why am I doing this?
I feel like Kyon's a very real character thrown into the mix of the stuff, and I think that's why I like him so much as a protagonist.
Yeah, for sure.
My overall impression of the show it actually reminded me of some other shows, specifically, and it's probably because it was adapted from a light novel, although I can't confirm whether this is the actual reason, but it reminded me of the Monogatari series, just a little bit, because so I don't know if you've heard like the meme of voiceovers are like the death of television. I'm sure you've heard
right
like that, right? Fuck that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Like shows like this are like why voiceover things sort of exist, and it's probably because it's also adapted from a light novel. Similar with the Monogatari series, where the main character is like probably thinking and reading verbatim what the author originally wrote.
Yeah.
And which is why these things also, again, this is a guess, but I suspect this is why these things also tend to get weirdly nicely. I like it, but weirdly introspective.
Mm-hmm.
They'll just stop and like dive deep into their thoughts or their reasoning behind things.
Yeah.
Although I first heard about this show, I actually didn't even know it by name. I just heard about it because I heard about the Endless Eight,
Right.
which is a series of episodes that we will get to. But for now, just anyone who is unfamiliar with the Endless Eight, it's 8 episodes that are 95% the same.
Yep. There's like
95%
4 to 5 things that are small that are changed from episode to episode. Like it's such a small difference. You have to actively like look for them.
Well, the camera angles and stuff tend to be different.
Yeah.
But like the things that are different are also very trivial, like their clothing or whatever. So I knew about this show by reputation before I even knew its name. And then when Satan described it, I was like, wait, this is that show that has those episodes. He's like, yep. Dunk, you said you'd watched this a while ago, right? And you sort of thumbed through it.
Yeah. I watched
in light preparation for this.
Yeah, I watched it approximately 6 or 7 years ago, something like that. And went back through
Why?
it. Actually, no. I watched it in high school, so it must have been
Going into this, you said you don't like watch or care too much about anime, and this is like
I do not. No.
This doesn't. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but this doesn't seem like an anime that you just stumble in, or is it? Is this
no?
Because like you would stumble into something like Naruto or fucking Dragon Ball Z,
I
but
think
like this seems like something you'd have to like
Haruhi
seek out.
Haruhi is definitely an anime that if you're not into anime, your weeb friend recommends to you, right?
Right.
Is that about right, Dunk? Is that how it went?
No. So I actually did go through a big anime watching phase when I was in high school. I'll admit I never thought too deeply about it. But I got into anime. I was brought into anime by by one of my friends in middle school, and then I started out on like what was my first one? Like I started out on
I watched Death Note.
Nope. Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Oh, what a shitty start!
Right?
I'm sorry.
What a first anime.
And Gurren Lagann. Those are my first 2.
Okay.
Well, that one's
good. Yeah, that's more common.
Better.
So I started on those 2, and then as someone who started on like Gurren Lagann and Neon Genesis Evangelion, it was only a short drop into things like
that's fair.
Haruhi and Angel Beats and things like that. So
Angel Beats brings me back.
Yeah. Angel Beats at the time when I was like 14 or something made me cry.
Same.
God.
But
I tried to watch it and I did not like it.
Yeah,
I don't remember why. I just didn't like it.
Remember, I was 14 at the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I watched Haruhi and I think I never watched the movie, but I got all the way to the end of the show. Though I did skip the last 4 episodes of the Endless Eight. Because I was not forewarned about this. I had no information about Haruhi going in. So when the first 4 episodes were the same thing, I just skimmed the last ones and then moved on. But yeah, I went back and reskimmed it so that I could actually have information to remember what the hell went on in the show so that we could talk about it. But yeah.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, nice. So then I guess we can get into more specific things. I guess you already kind of talked about did you talk about why specifically because like you've watched a lot of anime, right? Why this, like obviously there's plenty of good there's plenty of 10s out there. Why this one?
So and it sucks because it didn't pan out. But I think Haruhi as an experience where you sit down and you watch it in the order that it was broadcasted. So for those that don't know, the whole idea of Haruhi is that, as Riss has mentioned, Haruhi is a god. She controls everything and directly influences things that are happening in her life, right? But she's
unaware of this.
She's unaware of it, and at the start, and for a about half of the show, unless you really sit down and think about it, it's not revealed to you. You don't know it. Because when you watch in broadcast order, it's sort of it jumps around a lot, and it gives you the puzzle pieces for you to slowly piece it together, right? Like the three Nankyo and Haruhi characters in the first episode. Chronologically, Haruhi mentions wanting to meet an alien, an Esper, and a time traveler, right? And it's revealed that the people that are it's called the SOS Brigade, but they're their school club. It's revealed that the people that she has found and recruited for the SOS Brigade are exactly that. But you don't know that. You see her, meeting, you see the people being brought in, and you see sort of weird stuff about them, but you don't know exactly what's weird. And then eventually, I think it's every 3 episodes or so, it's the way it jumps around is like they'll do a thing, and then an episode about Mizuru and how she's a time traveler happens, and then they do a thing, and the Yuki episode happens where Yuki's like a super intelligent alien, etc. And so it jumps around a lot, and I think the experience of broadcast order Haruhi going into it blind has been one of my like purest enjoyment I've gotten out of an anime in a while. I watched it for the first time about 3 or 4 years ago, and knowing nothing about a show that presents a puzzle for you, the viewer, to solve, I absolutely love that shit. So that's why I wanted to get you guys on to watch broadcast order.
Unfortunately, I already knew some of the twists.
Yeah.
Like, I already knew that she was a god.
Right.
And it has been known to me, even if it wasn't known to my knowledge,
right?
That this was the case. But also, I suspect that watching in broadcast order would have been a little bit more confusing. And I also just finished watching this today.
Yeah.
So
watching in broadcast order is something that you have to have like time to think about the episodes as you're going through them. I should have thought about that for a format like this, where we give ourselves 2 weeks to sit down and watch the thing, as opposed
28
to
episodes.
Yeah, as opposed to like a month and a half or so to fully digest what you're watching as it happens.
Yeah.
So that is my bad, but yeah, definitely the experience of Haruhi is why I love recommending it to people.
Okay.
To what Webb said, or sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I just said okay.
Okay. Great, excellent. I'll people notes that one in. Okay.
All right, cool.
Webb said
Solid talk.
I will file that away for later.
Yeah, let me write that in the document real quick.
To what Webb said before, where he said he doesn't like Haruhi, I actually really like Haruhi. Not like I imagine being around her would be insufferable, but I, for one reason or another, really like the idea that a character is so insistent on not being bored that they will do whatever. I really like that as a character motivation because it's so simple, but if you want it to manifest in an interesting way, in a way that isn't just boring, you have to really go for it.
Right.
And I really got the sense that she's a character who is just, her mind is incessantly pursuing the next high, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because she's always going at 100%. And like the idea that she is a bored god who might destroy the world if it's not interesting enough to her, like I don't think that there's a character trait. I don't think there's a character that would sell me on that better than Haruhi's character.
Yeah, that's fair. So I agree with, I think the motivation is fine, right? The character as a concept, I like. What I don't like is how she's written and how she is presented. She like checks all the boxes of what I find to be a very annoying character.
See, it's funny you say that, because for me, that exact character is Mizuru. I fucking hate Mizuru. I understand conceptually and where she fits into the story, I get it. But like you said, she ticks all of the boxes of things I fucking hate about characters.
It's so funny you say that because I love Mizuru.
I fucking knew too. Going into this,
like
Webs
Mizuru.
is gonna be a Mizuru simp. But like the dub does her no favors either. I watched the dub both times. I need to watch the sub at some point. But my God, does the dub not help her case at all?
Dude, you know what it is, buddy.
Yeah,
it's
I know exactly what
milkers.
it is.
It's the giant anime titties we got.
The fucking.
But I mean, also like from a character's perspective, I think Mizuru is fine because the other two characters are like kind of badasses, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I don't know what exactly she does or why how she got the status of time traveler, but she just strikes me as a person who like time travels, but isn't like a field worker, you know?
Yeah. Well, she mentions herself. Yeah. She is a trainee.
Yeah, she's a trainee.
Yeah, right.
And she's like there to help prevent Haruhi from fucking bamfing the entire universe because she gets bored.
So like, jokes aside from the chest skull she has on her, what I do like about Mizuru, which I could say about each of or like all three other characters, right, except for Haruhi, I feel like she has a lot of depth, right? Mm-hmm. Which I really enjoy that.
Yeah,
and I think you need that kind of stuff.
There's a surprising amount of depth to all the characters, honestly. Yeah. Even at face value, Haruhi isn't that deep of a character. But I think the more I think about her, and on my second watch through, the more I like paid attention to her, she even has an interesting amount of depth as a character. Even a character like Yuki, who is my favorite character of our Band of Misfits, Yuki Nagato, has a ton of depth to her. And she has, like, I don't know, 40 lines throughout the entire show.
Yeah, she has, like, 5% of the lines about her.
But, like, I don't know. I fucking love Yuki. Oh, my God.
So, do I have to be...
Did you love or hate?
Do I have to like Itsuki now? Do I have to have him as my favorite character? So that now we have the full gambit?
I mean, like, how can you not like him?
Yeah.
I mean, I do like Itsuki.
Yeah, he is real cool.
I mean, he's hot, he's smart, he's confident, he smile.
Yep. Dude, his dub voice, by the way, I've heard the voice before, and I don't know his name exactly.
I'm pretty sure one of the characters, it may be Itsuki, is voiced.
Yeah, it's Ichigo, and
I was just about to say, I think Itsuki is voiced by Ichigo.
It's a Bleach character.
No, listen, he did Ichigo, and that voice specifically that he does in Haruhi, he did one of the the villain in Persona 4 Golden.
Oh, yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
That's one that I didn't put together.
Johnny Young Bosch is also one of the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in the
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God!
Holy shit, that's sick. Dude. But yeah, no. When I heard his voice, I'm like, that is Bleach Ichigo.
Bleach Ichigo.
Yeah.
I'll show y'all a clip of like the guy from Persona 4 Golden later, but the voice spot on. Like it's exactly the same voice.
Dunk, when you walked out of this as how old were you when you finished this?
14 or
17.
15.
Whatever.
Yeah, like
when young Dunk walked away, like, did you like it? What did you think? What did you think then? And like, do you think that you should have thought that now after thumbing through it again? Does your memory of it like change a little bit after you've sort of revisited it, even in the limited capacity that you did?
Trying to think back onto how I felt about it. Haruhi, if I remember correctly, it is taking a trip in the Wayback Machine, that's for sure. How I felt about it back in the day was that I respected what it did with the medium, but I wasn't a particularly big fan of how it went overall, but I think that's because I didn't watch it in broadcast order. I watched it in chronological.
Yeah.
So, like thinking back to it, I know that I learned about the fact that, you know, whoever was a time traveler and whoever was a part of the Galactic Council or sent by the Galactic Council. I remember, or the Galactic Intelligence, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I remember learning about that pretty early on, and you learn about that pretty early on if you see it in chronological, not in
it's
in
so like
broadcast.
chronologically, you get introduced to Haruhi, you like meet Mizuru, and Mizuru tells you she's a time traveler. You've like met Yuki in episode 1, and then Yuki tells him about she's probably the Galactic Intelligence, and then you meet Ishiki, and you know, you learn he's an Esper very quickly.
Like the episode he's introduced.
So like, it's funny because in broadcast order, it's actually, God, the way that they do it in broadcast order is you remember the episode where they show the like festival film that they made, and you get to like see the festival film. That's the first episode in broadcast order, so you don't know what the fuck is going on. It's just that film where everyone has their like presented in the film to having their powers, and sort of like a hint nudge, but like you can tell it's just some high schoolers shooting a film for a project, so you don't really pick up on it. And then
this actually brings up something. I don't think I would have finished it if I'd watched it in broadcast order. This reminds me of a different anime that's really well regarded. I'm gonna have to find it. Like this is gonna kill me if I don't look it up. So I'm gonna look this up real quick.
And then after that, it's so. The title, like the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, the first like 5 episode arc that happens, right, is what's dispersed after every like 2 or so episodes, to where you get that, and then you meet Haruhi, and you're introduced to Kyon more formally, and you know, the brigade gets formed with Yuki, and Mizuru gets roped in, right, and then they do a thing. And you meet Itsuki, and he's just kind of like there, and it's kind of weird, but you know, you roll with it, and then a thing happens, and then you learn about Mizuru, and then they follow that formula.
This reminds me of Steins Gate. Because Steins Gate, I could not finish because the first several episodes are setup that make
just them
a
digging
bunch
around.
of sense. Yeah, it makes so much sense once you get to episode like 4. Right, and everything starts to get like really good apparently, but I couldn't get through the first couple of episodes because the first couple of episodes don't have that normal sort of like it's just them fucking around, right? Like it's it isn't something that feels like it has a lot of build up, right? And thinking about Haruhi in that way, I feel like if I'd watched it in broadcast order, I really would have had to have initial investment and know that later on in the show it was going to start answering these questions, because otherwise me as a 15-year-old would have looked at it and been like, what the fuck is going on, and then just like left, right? Because that's exactly what happened.
There's definitely some anime that I need to revisit at some point, because when I watched or tried to watch, I was like, I was not ready for this.
No,
like my anime brain was undeveloped. It was nascent at best.
But for me, like, this is sort of like Steins Gate does the same thing, and I think I love Steins Gate and Haruhi for the same reason, in the sense that you as the viewer are given a puzzle with pieces for you to put it together on your own time, ahead of time if you want, or the show will feed you more information. They'll start to show you more of the picture of the puzzle you're putting together and stuff like that, right? I love figuring out like that what the fuck is going on is what drives me to figure it out, as opposed to but I can also see, you know, at 14 I wouldn't have thought the same way, you know. I mean,
but even me at 24, right? Like maybe I'm just Peepo small brain or something that I look at a show like that and I'm just like, this is not the type of entertainment that I want to consume.
And that's fair.
I would rather go do something else, because
we call those kind of shows slow burns.
Yeah,
and those kind of shows definitely not for everyone.
No.
Yeah,
it's an acquired taste.
I wouldn't say that there's like anything.
Doesn't read like a slow burn.
Well, it
I think if you would watch it
in broadcast order, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In chronological, it
Fair
doesn't
enough.
because you're presented information, the characters are introduced, explained, and it builds, and then they do adventure stuff, right? As opposed to like a found footage looking film of students doing a project into character introduction, into adventures, into character explanation at that point, because the character's been introduced through them doing the adventures. Now they're being explained.
And to be fair, that episode where we saw the finished movie, probably my least favorite episode.
It's it's a very funny way to think about the series starting off, though, right? Because it's incredibly on the nose with like the characters and their like hidden secret power and stuff like that. But like it's so funny and like kind of poorly done.
Because she casts them all as like,
exactly
who they are.
That was what was the name of it? Was like The Adventures of Mizuru, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
Okay, so I only watched up to episode 12, right? But I did take a look at the broadcast order after I was like 6 episodes in. I was like, let me watch a bit of broadcast order. Started with the first episode, could not finish it. It was so fucking boring.
Well, it took my friend sitting there and telling me, trust me, it's worth it to sit through this one stinker.
Which is Steins Gate and this in a nutshell. Oh,
right.
dear God.
If you have to say, okay, this episode, dog shit, but it gets better, probably not an amazing series then.
Yeah.
I disagree. I think
that's only sometimes true, right? Like
if it's a one standout stinker, then I think like if it's One Piece and you have to say sit through these 400 episodes, then you're hooked. I'll agree with you. But if it's
if you do enough cocaine at once, you will want to
right.
more.
Someone brought this up about Stephen King's books, right? With the amount that amount of books that he's written, there's going to be some absolute bangers, but there's also going to be some stinkers. And I think a 28 episode series with a movie is allowed like 1 or 2 stinker episodes, you know?
Also, like you can relate this to some things in like Western media as well. Like shows like Parks and Recreation, right? I tried to get into it. I watched and I didn't know that the first season sucked balls. So I went and watched the first season. It sucked balls, and I didn't want to continue. But everybody since then that I've talked to about it has been like, watch season 2. And I started an episode of season 2, and I actually quite liked it. So the show isn't necessarily defined by its 1 or 2 stinker episodes. It's
more
maybe that starting on a stinker is not the best.
Yeah, it's more so about first impressions.
Yeah.
I think you have to be able to think on your feet.
Right.
If you just go with like, okay, like the initial episode or the first pages or the first 20 minutes of this movie like didn't grab my attention. So therefore I'm just going to disregard the rest of it. I think is denying yourself like some pretty great artistic experiences. But at the same time, like it's definitely it can definitely backfire on on the because it's probably like if a show is doing something where it's like, okay, we're gonna start off real slow, they know that they're relying on like the less monkey brained audience members to stick around.
And
for sure.
I think the big payoff, and I think this was intentional too, of that first episode is it's supposed to be an I get it moment for the audience, like 10 episodes down the line where you actually understand what's going on. You sort of think back to that first really weird episode and you get to like laugh to yourself about it, like, oh, that's what was going on, you know?
Yeah, but I can understand that, but then like
I think it serves to at a later time provide an I get it moment to the viewers watching, like, because like I'm thinking of it as it's broadcasting. It was intentionally broadcasted in broadcast order, right? And they sort of gave that, I get what's going on feeling to you down the line before you really fully end up piecing everything together to keep you wanting to piece everything together for that next big moment,
Yeah, for sure.
But go ahead, Webbs.
I feel like as a creator, though, you're banking on people making it past the first episode, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's a hard decision to make.
It's a
hard
to
thing
make.
to
I can
bank
respect
on.
it.
Yeah.
And
Audiences
I
are
think,
different.
I mean, again, I
though.
didn't watch in broadcast order, but I'd imagine that
same.
it landed it because I liked the show in chronological order. So
I
being able to piece it together from like a scrambled order, I think would be obviously a little bit more difficult on my part, but also just as rewarding, if not more so.
I think
for sure. I'm not saying it's necessarily. I'm not saying it's like necessarily a terrible thing. I'm just saying it's it's a strong decision.
Yeah, but like the whole thing about Haruhi was it was a risk, right? Like broadcasting this weird ass anime in this really weird ass order and like it was aired weekly too. That's the craziest thing is you got a different thing weekly. Like this was a weekly anime. And it was broadcasted in that fucked up order that you see in that spreadsheet. Like,
speaking of different things, how many of you watched all of the Endless Eight?
I have
one
once.
episode.
I have exactly once, and it was specifically so that 8 times I could hear the dubs version of. Now I know why they call it a public swimming pool, because I still I don't know why, but it's the fucking funniest line in anime to me. I don't know.
That wasn't in the sub.
He
only comments about how it's like. I don't know why this isn't called a communal swimming pool instead of a public swimming pool. It never gets there. In the dub.
Just if you get the chance, watch like the first segment where they're at the pool in dub, just so you can hear the delivery of the line. It's so fucking funny to me because it just keeps happening. It's one of the constants. And it's something to look forward to through the Endless Eight.
But I think actually, and I think I can defend fairly easily watching all of the Endless Eight. For one big reason. That's because I think that's probably the biggest point of character development that Yuki gets.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I mean you're watching it 8 times and you're like, what the fuck? But Yuki has seen it 15,000 plus times.
Oh, and she's actually spoilers.
Oh, sorry. I mean, sorry if someone here didn't do their homework. I mean, I don't think it's a huge spoiler to say that in an eternal loop, the number got big.
Yeah.
I mean, you've already watched one of the episodes, so I mean, you've kind of seen them all except for the last one.
Okay, we'll watch this.
Which I can kind of refrain from talking about, I guess.
You know, I definitely put it on in the background while I verified some runs. But...
Yeah. In any case, like Yuki, like from a distance, I think is conceptually cool. Like she's a very robotic sort of character occupying a human teenage girl's body, but she's basically a computer, and like conceptually it's cool.
Yeah.
But the Endless Eight, there's a lot of like there are a couple moments where like everything sort of focuses on Yuki, because in the Endless Eight, that those 2 weeks of summer are looping, and everyone sort of forgets how it went the previous time, with the exception of slight like deja vu, except for Yuki, who remembers all of it. And I think when the characters discover every time that they're looping, they're all sort of like horrified that she's been there for the equivalent of like 595 years,
right?
Watching all of it.
Jesus.
And like the way, and I wasn't sure how they were going to do it, but at the end of like when it ends, and it's not a spoiler to say it ends, like when it ends, and they're all in their club room, the only person who isn't there is Yuki, because she's probably tired or something, which is like a really small thing, but I thought it was pretty cool, right? I thought that series of 8 episodes really served to get me closer to Yuki as a character.
Yeah.
I just feel like I had better things to do with my time.
Yeah, no,
that was my entire thing about not watching them, is that like it's 8 episodes of television. Each one is what, 25, 30 minutes? And so that was like 5 hours of my life or something, or 4 hours of my life that I would never get back.
You were 14. You didn't have anything better to do.
You want to know what I think I know what I did. I went and started playing like League of Legends or something.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
At the end of one of the Endless 8 episodes, I think it was like the 4th or 5th one, there's the summer resets at midnight of like August 31st or something.
I did watch the last one, the first and the last.
Yeah. And at the end of this episode, it shows us Kyon's clock, and it starts from like 30 seconds off from midnight, and we're just given every second of that ticking down. And I stayed there. I knew where it was going to end. I was like, I just stayed there and watched it, and like that's sort of
what the like satisfaction,
a microcosm of the experience of watching all of the Endless Eight. It's like you're watching something you know is just going to keep looping.
Yeah, I get both arguments. I wholeheartedly agree with Riss, and I definitely think if you have the patience as a viewer to sit down and watch them all, it's a worthwhile experience. But that's much like the series as a whole. Haruhi is a tall ask of the audience, right? Like broadcast order Haruhi and parts of chronological Haruhi is a very tall ask of your audience. And so I get, especially if you're sitting down watching through broadcast, you've made it this far through all the bullshit, you want to skip over 6 of the 8 episodes. I totally get it.
But I mean, also like, this one thing weirdly landed for me every time, no matter what, in all 8 of the episodes. It was when Haruhi was getting up at the last time, and after they finished all their summer vacation projects, and Kyon's like, wait, hold on. Like, I have to say something before she leaves, otherwise we'll just reset. And it, like, it goes into slow motion, it zooms, you're like, this is deja vu, like, the strongest I've felt. I actually felt that landed for me every time. And, like, and every time, I think it got a little stronger, because you were there, like, sort of feeling the deja vu with him, in a way. Such that finally when you hit the final episode where he, like, gives his outburst and closes the loop, or I guess severs the loop in this case, like, I think that hits, and the frustration that he feels, like, he shouldn't feel that frustration because he's only experienced it once, but in a way he also hasn't. He's experienced it 15,000 plus times,
right?
And like, you sort of feel that coming through. So I actually found the arc, while tedious, to be rewarding enough to recommend watching it.
That's fair. Maybe I'm gonna finish it on my own time, because it did spark my interest, right? Enough to finish it.
Yeah.
Will I watch all of the Endless Eight? To be determined.
I have not watched the movie, but I've heard the movie is very good. So.
Yeah,
I've heard the same.
I do definitely recommend watching the movie if you find the free time coming up, Riss. Just it's such a good way to end the series. And to sort of bow on top of it, it's beautifully animated as well. They did a fantastic job with it.
Oh right. Speaking of the fucking we didn't touch on it at all, but when there was solid animation, god damn was it good.
Like it's also funny. I will say one good thing about sitting down and watching chronological is you don't really have to deal with this, but if you watch broadcast order, the animation quality differs so much sometimes for when you jump from like a 2006 episode to like one of the 2009 episodes, that it's so jarring. But yeah, no, when the production quality picks up in Haruhi, it picks up. I think it's around season 2 where it really, really takes off and looks 1,000 times better, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah. So chronologically, like the first time it hits you with it is when Yuki fights the fucking blue-haired chick.
Yeah.
And it fucking goes, dude. I was like, what is this?
For an early 2000s or mid 2000s show, would it be mid 2000s? I guess it's mid 2000s.
Yeah,
like
mid 2000s. Yeah,
like especially I was talking with Webs about this a little bit. Like, modern shows were sort of now, for better or for worse, kind of conditioned to look for the sort of, triple layer shadows,
right?
Ultra great CG, tasteful CG sort of thing that like, for better or for worse, Attack on Titan, I think, kind of heralded in. Yeah. And there's still, like, I still like that aesthetic, but, like, going back to before that time, where we have things that look a little flatter, kind of like Haruhi, it's nice to see that that stuff still, like, looks good, right? Like it can still look
absolutely.
really good in detail, because the anime, like the movements are all very, like none of it feels cheap. Like the characters are all doing like pretty detailed shit. It's just the characters don't have like a million layers of depth on them. They have like very simple sort of designs, but it still gets the job done and actually looks pretty good. So
speaking of, that reminds me of I have a recommendation for next week. After we cut this podcast.
Sure,
no spoilers.
Well, why don't we close out the podcast with a with a who's deciding the next one?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I'll decide.
I guess it's Webs. Okay, it's Webs. Right. It's been decided that Webs will decide. Yep. Webs, what are we watching next time?
Okay, cool. So another mid-2000s anime. I'm not sure if you can find it legally. We'll hash out the details. But okay. It's called Beck Mongolian Chop Squad. It's about this kid that leads a pretty normal life, but then joins a band and makes some cool friends. But it has that very, or you reminded me of it because it has that very flat, like grainy, kind of old school look to it, which I really enjoy. So we'll check that out.
Oh yeah.
I know what I'm going to recommend then, following in this sort of aesthetic, but we'll get to that then. All right.
Real quick, just out of my personal curiosity to wrap the Haruhi talk, overall, how did you guys like it, and what would you rate it?
I guess we should give it a numerical rating, even though
it's all contrived and, who fucking...
And Webs didn't finish it.
And Webs didn't finish it.
So from what I did watch, I would say about a 6.5. Which isn't bad. I think it's... So 5 is like... average.
Yeah,
right?
Five's average. 6 is a bit above. It's I feel like the 5 to 6 range is like your average, slightly above. 7 is good.
Yeah, so like 5 is average for me. 6 is like above average. 7 is good, and upwards is right. So like I think it sits in between above average and good for me.
Okay. I'll have to ask you how you feel about it once you finish, if you do end up finishing.
Yeah, well, I'll come back to it.
I really regret not being able to watch the movie because, as you said, I hear it like closes it out, and the show does not give us really a conclusion. But lacking that, and not accounting for that, I would give it a solid 7.5.
Nice.
I'm not sure if I could give it quite an 8, but I think it does some things very interestingly, and it's very bold, and I think that deserves points, especially if I think it does those bold things well. I guess not enough to just like do something weird,
right?
Like
executing on that weirdness and executing well, so that the weirdness pays off.
The Endless 8 actually really impressed me because you have to have huge balls to do something
absolutely.
like that.
Oh my
and
God.
I know it upset a bunch of people.
Yeah. If you ever look at criticisms of Haruhi, Endless 8 is always the first thing people bring up.
Yeah, and I mean, I actually didn't find watching through the Endless 8 that upsetting. Like I knew, like it started to get tedious by 6 or 7, but I think that's like, I think 8 is actually the correct number. It's like you can only jerk off so many times before it starts to hurt, and that's like kind of where we got to.
Well, I guess if you're a weak person.
Okay, all right. And that's kind of how it was for me. It was very interesting at first to like see the differences. Then you sort of started feeling the frustration with the characters, and as I said, I think it's like one of the best arcs for Yuki, which I don't think she really got one. She just kind of existed.
Right.
We learned a little bit about her when she fought her other AI intelligence creature thing.
You learn a bit about her when they fight like the big fucking bug too.
Yeah, sort of. True.
Quick side note, but the giant bug fight is probably one of the most ridiculous fights, but also my favorite in the series for that.
Yeah.
No, that was really silly. But yeah, 7.5. I probably couldn't recommend it super hard, But I would always say, hey, if you want a really interesting anime experience, you should watch this anime.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's worth a lot in my book.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
I have a bit more of a bias on it.
You recommended it. So.
I recommended it.
Here comes the 10 out of 10, baby.
On rewatch, I originally on my anime list that I quickly threw together gave Haruhi a 10 out of 10. On rewatch, I will say, there are a few weaknesses I noticed, and a lot of my 10 out of 10 rating was from the perspective of someone that it checks a lot of boxes for me. It gives me Slice of Life Plus, which I absolutely love because I find Slice of Life kind of boring. It gives me a puzzle to solve as a viewer to make me feel like my brain is big and I am smart. It gives me well-written characters that serve a very solid they have a purpose. They're there for a reason, and they fill voids that other characters provide, and they all do it well. The animation's great. I can praise the show to no end. I would ultimately give The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, specifically in broadcast order, a 9.5 and chronologically a 9.
All right.
I was waiting for the 9.9 out of 10.
No, not 9.5
down
and like a 9
by 1/10 of a point.
But I will also say I am including the movie as part of the watching experience and part of the show as a whole.
Yeah, fair.
Right. Okay.
Lacking the movie, I would imagine it would drop like a point.
It's like it's
end.
like 8.5, maybe a high 7 or something.
Dunk, based off of your blurry hormone-filled memories as a young teenager, and your limited skimming experience just recently, how would you rate The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya on an out of 10 scale?
So I will give this 2 ratings, just as Satan did. One for the broadcast order, but I will say I'm going to give it 3 ratings, weirdly enough, because the third there's chronological order, then there's broadcast order for somebody who is interested in the puzzle, and there's broadcast order for someone who isn't. Mm-hmm. So in chronological order, I give it a hard 6 out of 10. Cannot go any higher than that.
Okay.
I don't think it's very interesting. It has some cool things that it does, but in chronological order, because it's a more traditional show, I cannot recommend it. In broadcast order, I would say anyone who likes Steins Gate, anyone who likes to solve a puzzle, I would give it a hard 8.5 out of 10 or higher, probably up closer into the 9 range. Yeah. If you don't like solving a puzzle, it's a 3.
Yeah.
And cannot possibly rise above that. So, I think actually, you know what? I'll take my 6.5 and I'll up it to a 7. It's actually a good show. It just is not super interesting in chronological order. And it does have some unique things, but I don't put as much stock into having cojones and doing it well as Risk does. I find that like something like the Endless 8, like it's cool that they did it, but I don't like it, so I can't really right. give them points for it. So I'll actually up that one to a 7. You know, after I said I can't go any higher, but whatever. I'll up it to a 7, and then I'll say that for the broadcast order, it's either an 8.5 or 9 or a 3, depending on how much you like solving a puzzle.
I kind of dig the conditional review score. I think that makes a lot of sense.
For this show specifically, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think it could actually work for a lot of shows. We'll have to think. Sure. We'll have to think about that more. We'll have to contact Rotten Critic and Meta Tomatoes to
right.
You know,
I can feel Risk's brain expanding even further. As we
I can already see the Matrix. All right, y'all. It's been good. Thanks for being Dunk. Thanks for guesting, and hopefully, like, you can just like be a mainstay guest, I guess, if you want. Like
Sure.
you're always welcome. We'll try to be considerate with our anime picks. I know you're busy.
It's fine. I'll admit the anime sections will probably be where I am least engaged, just given my own proclivities and how much I think about anime. But I'm fully willing to at least, if I've already watched it, I'll skim it, and if I haven't already watched it, I'll watch it.
Or you can grunt confusedly at the whack ass anime plots that we described. Like, what are these guys talking about?
Why don't we have a Dunk as a mainstay, and then we sit down, we've watched it, we review it, and then Dunk gives a review based on what we've told him about it in our reviews.
Yo, so this girl apparently has gigantic honkers, absolute buttocka donkers. So I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10, base minimum.
Minimum.
Before we do go, I want to say,
oh my god,
I do think, I do.
Before we go,
Beck is
sure,
like
throw
26
one more
episodes, by the way.
Say what?
Beck is like 26 episodes, by the way. I don't know how far y'all want to get into it. Can vary depending on how much you like it or not.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what's up.
One season 26 or 1 or 2 season 26 is generally about the shortest you're gonna find if you're going for something that's good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Thanks for being here, Dunk. Thanks for being here. All my other homies.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. And catch us some other time. We're going to try to do these bi-weekly-ish. I don't have an exact release date.
Holiday season is coming up. It's going to be weird. So
right.
next one, maybe in a little bit. Follow us on twitter.com at blood, the letter in, Talkness for updates as we sort of figure out the schedule, and we'll keep y'all
Link
in the
in the description.
Link
baby.
in the description.
Woo! Subscribe, follow, and comment.
Ring the bell. Say you were here. You know the good stuff.
Exactly. Catch us on Twitch too. Links in the description.
Absolutely.
We do stream.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.